So what is news and what is noise? Well, the question, what do I mean by news and noise? That's the question, as Maria Bachiromo, CNBC anchor, and Catherine Fredman put it in their book, How to Separate the News from the Noise, published in 2001. News, according to this, to the introduction, says, the news is important, quote, news is important information that may influence your investments. Noise is talk or buzz or some headline that prevents you from seeing a story clearly. I want to write that news is useful, noise is a distraction. Noise is easily distinguished from news in retrospect, but at the time of the event, it's hard to tell the difference. Maria Bachiromo and her colleague and her co-author went on to write that the internet can be a great source of news, but it also magnifies the noise. Television also ratchets up the confusion, and says, I went on to write that the most valuable commodity for an investor is good judgment, how you interpret the information. Let's continue the conversation with Ray Echebury, a veteran business journalist and the CEO of the Center for Financial Journalism here in Lagos. Thank you very much. Let's continue with this. This is news versus noise. Do you think social media is more of noise than news?
I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
But folks says that we who are traditional journalists or business journalists should be ready because the social media is here.
Yes, we should be ready. And what is important is for people to be able to tell the difference between what a professional journalist gives out and what somebody who is just holding his mobile phone dishes out. That is very important.
That is difficult sometimes in the age of fast-moving information superhighway called the social media, because how do you have to check the profile of the individual first?
No, the important thing is that a number of the traditional media organizations have also joined that fast lane.
Yes.
By having very good websites that are updated almost every minute. So with that, you can't beat them. With that, you will also not be able to beat the traditional media. I don't think there's any traditional media organization that doesn't have a very good website today. And some of them update like every minute, every 10 minutes. What it means is that they're also competing favorably with that person who just flashes out anything he gets.
The general principles of journalism apply, or business journalism apply to maybe an accountant.
Yeah.
Who just has a mobile phone because he studied accountancy or whatever, or accounting, practice chartered accountant, just decide to post business news or business information or data on it and try to analyze it because it's on social media. It has a Twitter account, for example.
No, there's a word of difference there because, I mean, he doesn't know the principles. What he does is just following his own, the principles of his own profession, which wouldn't actually tally with the journalism practice principles. No. So the two can be the same. In the first place, he may not even understand how factual or
one major question, Ray, is why is noise? How and why is noise? Why does it often trump news? People seem to be interested in noise.
Of course.
Why?
No. What do they say news is?
Is journalism noise?
No, it cannot be noise. Journalism
journalism what makes noise very attractive?
Noise is very attractive because people want to know what is happening now. But somebody can be giving that out as noise. But the trained journalist will not give that just the same way. He has to process it. Even with the presence on the internet, the traditional media still tries to process whatever they post, no matter how fast they are. That has to go through that process, that rigor. Somebody has to check. You don't just wake up and then get some information there or news item and then just anybody is not just the business of everybody to post. No. Some people are disconnected. Some people are given that responsibility. So before they do that, they would make sure that what they are posting would have gone through the process. And somebody would have been able to establish that it is true. But for some other people, whether it's true or not, slam it, and it goes. And it goes viral, and it's everywhere in the world.
Who are when we say noise, who are the noise makers?
Of course.
Who are the noise makers?
Of course, the citizens.
The citizens?
Of course.
Are the noise makers?
Yeah, not the professional media, not the professional journalist. No. Because
we are sometimes accused of selling sensational news or sensationalizing news.
Well, it depends on what you say is sensational. That was sensational. It's not something that you say is cast in stone.
Is sensationalism fake or false?
No.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's fake.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean
so the way
fake.
you cast the front page of your Business World newspaper or your Next Morning magazine, which you currently publishes, and says Nigeria economy may, well, crash in year 2023, for example, whatever. Will that be sensationalism if you try to interpret the data in a manner that scares people or try to get your readers to buy your newspaper or magazine?
No, that's based on fact. For instance, in March 2016, right? The very time we had our first lecture, inaugural lecture, Center for Financial Journalism, the guest lecturer told us there and then that from what he's saying, Nigeria's economy has already entered recession. In March, I still remember that. Well, March 17th. But then, the government did not know it. Our development partners, the World Bank, the IMF, they hadn't said anything. So, people went ahead and reported it exactly the way it was said. So, what happened? Were we proved wrong? No. It was a bit later, then the finance minister started talking about technical recession. That was the first time I heard that word anyway. And then we started struggling to know what technical recession meant. Right? But the truth then was that the Nigerian economy had already entered recession. So it was based on fact. Somebody has been able to sit down to analyze the figures, to analyze the data he was seeing, and told the entire world, yes, through us, that Nigeria's economy had entered recession. So what is sensational about that? Ordinarily, those in authority should be able to take that and see what they can do about it. I said, how do we go from here? How do we make sure, maybe try to prove this wrong, to prove these people wrong?